Pittsburgh Steelers fans, what is going on? This is Jeff Hartman. I guess you would call me the former editor of BehindTheSteelCurtain.com now. I say that, boy, that sounds weird. I'm so used to saying that the editor of Behind the Steel Curtain. No, that's not me anymore. That's Dave Schofield as of June 1st officially. But I just wanted to jump on here. And, for those of you that have listened long enough to my shows, whether you go all the way back to Blog Talk Radio, when I was sometimes by myself, talking to myself, taking calls, or whether it was maybe in the early days of the YouTube channel. I'm a Jimmy Buffett fan. Okay. I'm a huge Parrot head. And one of my favorite albums of all time is a live compilation album, double album of Jimmy Buffett called You Had to Be There. And it's back in the 70s, right after the Changes in Latitudes, Changes in Attitudes album was released. And every show he would basically go up by himself and he'd go, it's time for the original Coral Reefer Band. And it was just him by himself. And I was like, you know what? This is kind of fitting for me. The standard is where it all started. And I started by myself. And yes, Lance is a big proponent of the standard as a standard. And he and I have definitely turned this into the flagship podcast and everything that it has become, and this platform, what it has become. I'm very, very proud of that. And tonight, when Lance was tossing some ideas around, I said, tonight's my daughter's birthday. My second oldest daughter turned 7 today, and so that's why it's a little bit later. But he said, you know what? I've got my high school, his daughter is a senior in high school, getting ready to go to college. Congratulations to her on her graduation, by the way. And I think I might have froze up there for a little bit. See if we can get me back. Yep, there we go. All right. Sorry about that. So I thought to myself, you know what? He said he's got some stuff to do with her graduation. It's a virtual graduation. I said, you know what? He said, why don't you go solo? I said, okay, I'll do that. And so here I am, the original Coral Reefer Band. And I have no script tonight. I have no notes. I have nothing. It's basically starting off as a big thank you to a lot of people. And Michael Clark puts $4.99, says, good luck, Jeff. Thanks for everything. Thank you guys and girls for all the support that you've given me over all these years, 5+ years. And I hope that you throw DK Pittsburgh sport. And when I say that you're not just a Steelers fan, but you're a Pirates and Penguins fan as well, man, you're going to love that website because we cover all three and we cover them in depth. And as you look at like Major League Baseball, continuing that hopefully eventually the NHL saying they're going to get back. I don't think the NFL is going to miss any time or anything like that. But I want to go through some thank yous first, and then we're going to talk about some Steelers because that's exactly what we've been that's exactly what we've been doing all along. So let's get started with some thank yous. First and foremost, thanks to Dave Schofield. Dave Schofield was kind enough to really ease the burden of leaving off of my shoulders based on the fact that he stepped up to the plate and took over as the editor. One of the things I wanted to make sure is that when I stepped down, when I made the decision, and I was like, you know what? I want to make sure it's in good hands. And Dave is exactly that. It's in good hands. I want to thank Brian Anthony Davis for taking over the podcast platform. He's going to be doing all that back end work that I would do with the audio and the ad inserts and putting everything on audio and downloading stuff and all that, creating thumbnails. That's going to be him. So big thanks to him because I know he'll do a good job. It might be a learning curve at first, and I know he's going through that right now, but he'll get through it, and he'll be good for it. I want to give a big shout out to Lance Williams in terms of podcasting. I'm trying to focus here on the podcast because Lance has really helped me a lot as I've gone on. I remember when we first started doing shows, he told me, he goes, hey, you know what? It's okay to laugh. And I thought to myself, what are you talking about? I guess I was just trying to be serious all the time. And he's like, it's okay to have fun on the show. We don't have to be all football, all X's and O's all the time. And it was after that we really started to evolve. And the show started to evolve, and then it turned into what we see it today. And so for those three individuals, definitely a big thank you. But to all the contributors, Tony Defio, who's really coming to his own as a podcaster, to the people at the Vox Media SB Nation level that have really helped me along the way, including people from other platforms, other NFL teams, podcasts that have given me tips on things like how to start a YouTube channel, and so it's definitely been good. But most importantly, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart, most importantly is thank you to you, all the listeners, because like Isaac says, who puts $5 in the tip jar. He says, been with you since your blog talk days, Jeff. Gonna miss you, but best of luck to you, man. Thank you, Isaac, and thank you for your service, by the way. There's a lot of people that are, you develop a nomenclature, we'll put it that way. You develop an obviously a rapport to an extent, a virtual rapport with the little community that you have here on our BTSC Steelers radio page. There's names that you just know, I mean, if I'm talking with Dave or Brian and like, oh yeah, Mark Davison, I know exactly who we're talking about. I know he's Australian. And he's there in the live chat right now saying I'm a legend. No, thank you. So thank you to all the listeners. If you're listening in your car or if you're listening on your headphones as you're doing work, or whether you're going to work or whether you're walking on a treadmill or walking outside, whatever it is, I want to thank you. Because no matter how you're listening or whether you're watching, I want you all to know that it's you all that make this possible. Period. It's a labor of love. Are there days where you wish you didn't have to do a podcast? Yes. But ultimately, when you sit down and you queue up the computer and you see the live chat starting and you see more and more people tuning in, you kind of forget about it and you just kind of get into a zone and you go. So I don't want this to be sad, and this is not going to be my ultimate farewell. Tomorrow night, Thursday, Steelers preview. That's right. I'll be there with the guys, Brian Anthony Davis and Dave Schofield. Land said he might chime in as well. That'll be my final send-off. A lot of people have asked me whether I'll be doing podcasts over with DK, and that is on my to-do list. But right now I want you to understand, I am going to be writing about the Steelers. So if you do read what I've been doing at BTSC, you can read some of that same material, maybe in a little bit more in depth over at dkpittsburghsports.com. But ultimately, I do want to broach the podcast topic with DK, but I need to get my feet wet first. I'm hoping, fingers crossed, we might be having some podcasts, definitely not to the breadth of this, of 7 a week, by the time the season rolls around. So there could be something in the work. And as Gyro just mentioned, please come back as a guest. If they're willing to have me on, I'll be glad to jump in every now and then to do a spot. So awesome that you all are still here and you all are hanging with me here. Ryan O'Toole puts $5 in the tip jar, and he says, one last tip, DK Pittsburgh Sports is getting someone with credibility. Thank you, Ryan, very much. Again, make sure you check us out. I'm going to put some information here in the live chat. So if you all want to follow me on things like Twitter, there's my Twitter handle. You can follow me there, as well as the website where you can find me now. I don't want to plug it too much because this is ultimately behind the steel curtains shtick, and we're going to keep it that way. But you know what? When I was thinking about, okay, well, we got to talk about the Steelers, right? This isn't just going to be me waxing poetic here about my last Standard is a Standard show. I want to talk about the Steelers. I want to talk about maybe some specific players. I want to talk about what you all think, and I want to answer your questions. And I want you to think of, anything that you want to talk about relating to the Pittsburgh Steelers. And maybe at the very end, I'll answer questions that might be like a gambit of, if you want to ask me anything, let's say you've had a question on your mind that might be geared more towards the after party on Thursday nights, by all means, you can go ahead and ask away and I'll answer to the best of my ability. Ryan Kellerman says, at a loss for words. No one's ever said that in regards to me. I'm always a chatty guy. So always have, all that in the, I got a mic in front of you, got to talk, period. Crazy Chris says we need Mapletron t-shirts. They're there. Go to the Behind the Steel Curtain website. We did do t-shirts. You got to scroll down to where it says BTSC apparel. Click on that link, find the shirt, and you can order your own Mapletron t-shirt. There you go. All right. Zach wants me to talk about Jeff. Give us your life story. Well, let's hold off on that. Here's a question I want to ask. Okay, is a guy I was actually speaking with via Instagram direct message on my other Instagram account. And that's Justin Lane. I was just chatting with him the other day. talked to him about, training and stuff like that. He was a nice guy, super nice guy. And I was like, man, he is someone that it really intrigues me. Justin Layne. If you don't know Justin Layne, he's going into his second year. He was drafted last season out of Michigan State, grew up a Cleveland Browns fan in Cleveland. And now all of a sudden he's playing for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And a lot of people were like, okay, what do we actually think about Justin Layne? It's not an easy answer. So what do we know? What do we know about Layne? Okay, we know he is a prototypical outside cornerback. We know that Justin Layne is long. We know that Justin Layne has that very dangerous P word that I say often, and that's potential. He does have potential. Rumors are that inside, and he said in multiple interviews, hey, I can play inside or outside, put me wherever. Hear me out. Think about who they have on the team now, and that Justin Layne is going to have at least 2 more years on his rookie contract. So Joe Hayden's going to play this year. You would assume that he'd play in 2021, considering the fact that, he is still under contract and they redid his contract. But he's at the end of his career. I think we would all agree on that. And then you say, okay, well, if Steven Nelson's still there, and Nelson is phenomenal, at least had a phenomenal 2019 season, and Hayden's there, well, where's he going to play? Well, Mike Hilton, he's going to be on a restricted year tender. And so we don't know his future. We don't know if they're going to get a deal done. We don't know exactly how they're going to handle his situation in particular. Then you have Cam Sutton. Cam Sutton's going in the final year of his rookie contract. Well, Justin Layne all of a sudden now is positioning himself to see some playing time. Maybe it is a position of the dime defensive back that Cameron Sutton's playing now. Or maybe it would be the Mike Hilton type if Mike Hilton can't stay around or the Steelers can't afford to keep him around. Justin Layne, I'd love to hear your take in the live chat on what you all think about his potential, not necessarily this year, because I feel like this year the secondary, and Lance has said that he thinks this is the best secondary under Mike Tomlin, and he's been the coach since 2007. He thinks that essentially, I'm trying to figure out where he's going to fit. Where is he going to fit? Where is he going to fit? That's what I'd like to see. Ryan Kellerman says we need to keep Sutton, and I'm not going to disagree with that, because Sutton, I think, would be able to play. Well, he's the dime defensive back right now, but Hilton obviously is the nickel and stays on for dime. Cameron Sutton is very versatile, very versatile. And so I think that the more that Justin Layne can do, the more that he can actually show that he's capable of playing both inside and outside, he could have a significant role on this team within a few years. And fingers crossed. Now, we all know that the Steelers in drafting defensive backs don't have the best history, but fingers crossed. Let's say that Justin Layne actually pans out. Talk about a smooth transition from Joe Hayden to him on the outside. You would still have Nelson on the opposite side in his prime. Would be the perfect ideal situation, wouldn't it? Boy, would that be nice. That would be great. Here's another play I want to talk about. I'm just going off the top of my head here, by the way. Deon Cain. Deon Cain, the guy that was picked up midway through the 2019 season. Okay? 2019 season, midway through, picked up off the practice squad from the Indianapolis Colts. Colts fans were upset to see him leave. You think about the Steelers and like Tuzar Skipper, and Steeler fans were feeling the same thing. I think that a lot of times people get infatuated with players, and then when they leave, all of a sudden you're thinking, here we go. Where does Deon Cain fit into this wide receiving depth chart? Okay, look at number 1, Juju Smith-Schuster. Number 2, Deontay Johnson. Number 3, Juju Smith-Schuster. Number 4, James Washington. Number 5, who's that? Do they keep 6? And this is a podcast I did with Dave Schofield where we predicted the roster. I think we said we were going to keep 6 wide receivers. Where does Deon Cain fit into this? Big, tall, fast. His contributions to 2019 were not off the charts. Then again, the reason why they weren't off the charts is because a lot of the plays where he drew pass interference calls. Still a good play, still a positive play, impact play. But really, he caught everything that he got his hands on. I'm curious to see where they utilize him. And let's not forget Chase Claypool, the wide receiver that they drafted with their first pick in the second round. Yeah, Switzer, well, you got to bring him up. I mean, I know that he is the butt of a lot of jokes here on this channel, but at the same time, where does he fit? Where does anyone fit? Do they keep them all? I don't know. It's going to be really interesting to see how they utilize these players. But Deion Kane, we saw a potential with him. We saw potential with him. And I think some of these players, Justin Lane, Deion Kane, the rhyming was not intentional there. They certainly are going to be talked about as any type of camp approaches, whether that's a mini camp, whether that is training camp, doesn't matter. They all can say, they have a right to put their name in the hat. They put their name in the hat. Here's another player, Kareth White, running back. Where does he fit, or does he not fit? Will the Steelers be brazen enough to, and I've said this a million times on these shows, will they be brazen enough to say they've made a mistake and cut a Jalen Samuels? That's rare. They don't like to do that. If you keep Kareth White and cut Jalen Samuels, you're saying, boy, we messed up on that pick. Even when you're bringing in Matt Canada as the quarterback's coach, who coached as an offensive coordinator with Jalen Samuels at NC State. Got him a lot of touchdowns when he was there too. But boy, would that be damning of the organization when you have a rookie, or I'm sorry, not a rookie. You have Kareth White signed from the Bears practice squad in the middle of 2019, who makes it over a drafted player who doesn't even get into his third year of his rookie contract. I don't know. Personally, does Samuels offer more than White? It depends on what you're looking for in a backfield. If you're looking for speed, elusiveness, White is that guy times 1,000 compared to Samuels. If you're looking for versatility, if you're looking for pass protection, then it's probably going to be Samuels over White. But some of these players that I'm mentioning here are going to be worth talking about. Yeah, we can sit here and we can talk about the depth chart at quarterback and Mason Rudolph and Paxton Lynch, but these players are players that are legitimately vying for not only a roster spot, but a potential to play. You look at McFarland that they drafted out of Maryland. Does he bump a guy like White off the roster? Curious to see. Will it come down to special teams? Kareth White being able to return the ball. Do they still want to have Deontay Johnson returning punts? Yes, he's electrifying, but we saw this with Antonio Brown and Santonio Holmes, both under Mike Tomlin, and it comes to the point of, do you want to risk the injury for the dynamic play? And that's not always worth it. The risk is not always worth the reward. I said it a million times when Antonio Brown was here. They did it with Santonio Holmes, where they would only put them back to return a punt in key situations, whether it was they want the best hands out there to fair catch, or whether it was this is going to be a returnable punt and we want to make a play. So it's going to be interesting to see how some of these three players, that trio of players, I'm talking about Kareth White, Deion Kane, and Justin Lane, kind of insert themselves into this discussion as we're going into June, and it's weird because there has been nothing so far in terms of legitimate news. When the most legitimate news has been Ben Roethlisberger shaving his beard and throwing a couple passes on an Instagram or Twitter video. Well, that just shows you the crazy times that we're living in right now. So will they get to a mini camp? Recent reports state that they're ready for coaches to possibly get back into the facilities, and that maybe we have a flip of the script. And what I'm talking about is typically, if you pay attention to the NFL calendar, you're looking at May is when you would have OTAs, that's organized team activities, followed with rookie mini camp would be before that or during that, and then you'd have mandatory mini camp would be kind of like that culminating event. And then the players would be off for almost the entire month of June and July until they come back at the end of July for training camp. Now the suggestion is maybe in late June, they have a mini camp, in which case the players would be there. I'm not sure. I'm sure the media would be involved somehow, some way that is safe, whether that is making sure that there's a press conference room set up similar to like You've seen like even the president of the United States is having press conferences with reporters that are spread out. But still, the mini camp would happen, and then you wouldn't even have that much downtime before training camp starts. So I want to see it's going to be interesting. And Ron Chess brings up a really good point. The Governor Tom Wolf of Pennsylvania said that coaches this week can, coaches and teams can start to ramp things up. And, Cuomo in New York said the same thing about the professional teams in New York. It's a big step forward for the NFL, who's trying to get things back. The facilities have been open to a limited number of staff members, non-coaches. Players can only be there if they are rehabbing. So you have like the medical team, the medical staff, probably some PR people are in there. Heck, I don't even know if Art Rooney II is going into the office, or Kevin Colbert. They might not have to technically be there. They're not coaches. They could be, but they don't have to. So they're moving forward. Who knows what's going to happen? But you know what? It's going to be exciting. It's going to be exciting. It's going to be exciting no matter what. It's going to be different no matter what. And people always confuse different with negative. Different can be different, and it can just be as it is. So will games with no fans be different? Absolutely. Will football with no fans be better than no football at all? Absolutely. I think every single one of us watching, 114 people right now in the live chat or watching live, we would all agree that having football, even if there's no one there in attendance, is better than no football at all. So there you go. Just a couple things off the top of my head. So what I want to do right now is I want to open it up to questions about the Steelers, really whatever's on your mind. Is there a player that you're looking to really see if they can make their imprint on this team? Maybe a player you think is going to make a huge step forward in 2020. Maybe it's a player that you hope is still on the team's radar as a free agent, or maybe you think they're done. That's something that Brian and Tony spoke about on Monday. But if you're watching live on YouTube and you are in the live chat, get those questions ready. Fire away. I'd love to hear what you all think in regards to anything Steelers related, or if you have questions for me and my new job or anything like that, by all means. All right, here we go. Mark Davison says, I'll put it on the screen. Jeff, what is the most memorable moment on this show? Well, this show, the standard is a standard. There would be a different answer than, say, the Steelers preview. The Steelers preview with like Brian and Dave and the after party and some of those ridiculous segments we've had have been crazy. But at the same time, the standard is a standard. I got to be honest, some of my favorite memories of this show, and this is not a cut on anyone that just joined the show, but people like Isaac, who was watching, maybe if he's still watching live, would remember those old Blog Talk days when we would take callers. And when you hit that button on your screen to take the call, unless we had someone that was acting as a producer, which, by the way, was very, very rare, you had no idea what you were going to get. No idea. It was, I don't know how to pronounce. When you would say, all right, 876-54309, you are on with Jeff and Lance. Go ahead. And you just waited. And we got some really inappropriate calls sometimes. Oh, my gosh, that was really, really, really funny. Honestly, ask me tomorrow night and we'll get the other guys' take in regards to the preview, because that's just, when you get Brian Davis and Dave Schofield involved, it can be chaotic. It can be funny. It can be inappropriate, and it's all good. All right, here we go. Let's see here. Who else? Nathaniel says, is it just me, or do you feel like James Washington doesn't get enough credit? It's not just you. I think that I definitely think that James Washington does not get enough credit. And what he did last year with two quarterbacks that we can all agree were substandard compared to the regular starting quarterback, and that's Ben Roethlisberger. Here is the issue I have with Washington, is that James Washington is going into his third year in the league, and he has yet to prove he has a good rapport with Ben Roethlisberger. That's what scares me. I don't know why. I don't know how, but everyone can see it. With Mason Rudolph, with Devlin Hodges, it's like they clicked. Now, with Mason, we get it. They were college teammates for 4 years. That's their go-to guy. But how he doesn't have a role, there's just something off when Ben's under center. That needs to change if we want to see James Washington blossom or continue to grow in 2020. And Dave Schofield says, could the past editor, me, bench press the new Dave? I do not think I could. I'd give it a shot, but I might crush myself. Good question. All right. Ryan Kellerman says, I want Tua to stay healthy and have a Pro Bowl year. I don't think people can understand just how important he is to this team and this defense this year. You lose Javon Hargrave, you can make up for it with Stephon Tua back healthy. That's going to be big. He has really got to be big. Nightwolf, Jeff, do you think that Big Al gets re-signed or is released as a free agent? I think he stays. He's under contract. I don't think there's any need for them to do anything with him yet. Maybe next year he gets restructured or something like that. He had a bad year. We'll see if he bounces back. Ron Chess, Jeff, do you think Sutton plays deep safety third down so Fitzpatrick can move around? I think if they're smart, they utilize him in that deep half in some way, shape, or form, whether that's moving Terrell Edmonds down, almost in that Mark Barron role, put Sutton back deep. He can do that. He's proven he can. He's a good coverage guy. If it is also to take over for Fitzpatrick and let Fitzpatrick be that quote-unquote joker, then that's fine. That's fine. Daredevil says, let me see if I can find it. He's going to miss the Frank Webb comments. That's yeah, man, those are good. Those are good. A lot of people wishing me a good luck, and I appreciate all those. Absolutely. Ron Chess says, my favorite show was when you tried to help my Chris. Oh, that's right. Oh my gosh, I forgot about that. Ron was Christmas shopping with his wife at Kohl's, and he said, guys, help me. And I think it was just myself and Brian. And Brian told him to go do like a Bart Simpson and put a bra on your head or something. And I was like, no. Come on now. I'm good. I'll be married 13 years, I think. Yeah, 13 years in June. And the one thing you can do is help them pick out stuff. So if they're trying stuff on, go get other stuff. It'll make the process a lot faster. You give your compliments. Oh, you look great. You'll be out of there faster. Trust me. Gyro says, did you see James Conner? He looks like he's going to bully teams. I've seen this from James Conner before. If you follow him on social media, last year he was in great shape. And we all saw what happened. I guess to me, I'm more excited for Juju. Juju looks like he's actually taking conditioning seriously for once. Juju, if you follow him on social media, you're talking about a guy that would just go berserk on eating all sorts of junk. And maybe it's my background in fitness, but my gosh, if you're a finely tuned athlete, you got to treat it as such. And it's kind of like if you bought a Corvette or a Lamborghini or a Ferrari, whatever sports car you want, and you would just go put regular 87 gasoline in it. Heck no, you wouldn't do that. You're going to kill that machine, that highly sophisticated machine. And these athletes are just that. Their bodies are finely tuned machines. And it looks like Juju's finally starting to, he's getting it. Let's hope he has a good year, and let's hope the Steelers keep him, because everyone wants to be down on him for some reason. 2 fumbles. I get it. They were bad. He's still a good wide receiver. Let's not forget that. Zach says, Jeff, I'm so mad at you. Like your kids would say, I'm not talking to you, but congrats. I get it. I really do. And then I don't know what to say. Let's just enjoy it. Rod says, Jeff, thank you so much for your work. I remember when Neil Coulon, prior editor, left BTSC, I was vexed, but well, you exceeded my expectations. You rock. Thank you, Rod. I appreciate that. And it was not easy. And I think Dave is realizing that, it's a different type of work. It's a different type of busy, but Dave's going to be just fine. You will not miss a beat. Trust me. It'll just be, I told Dave, I was like, Dave, you're taking over a ship that all you got to do is sit in the seat and drive that sucker. Period. It's a well-oiled machine. Just don't take it into an iceberg and you'll be fine. I left the seat warm for him and he's doing a good job. He'll do a great job. Gina asks, do you think after all the criticism and bad 2019 season that Mason Rudolph will be ready to step up to the plate this year if need be? Well, I think you're asking the wrong person, based on the fact that I do like Mason Rudolph, and I've always said that. I think that he has that look about him. He has the charisma, the moxie, as some people like to say. I think that he'll be fine. The question I have is he the answer after Ben? I think he's a good backup quarterback. I think that this year, and I've said this before, if Ben goes down for 4 games, can Mason Rudolph win you 2 or 3? And I think the answer is yes, especially with that defense. But when Ben hangs it up, is Mason Rudolph going to be the guy? Nah, he reminds me too much of like a Bubby Brister, someone that you say, yeah, I think we can win with Bubby. I think we can win with Bubby. And next you know, you see Bubby and you're like, gosh, we can't win with Bubby. So it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting. But personally, I don't like to look that far down the road. Not with Ben Roethlisberger with 2 years left. I'm trying to enjoy it, trying to take it all in, trying to savor it. Because Ben Roethlisberger was the guy for me that, you know, he was the guy that really took my fandom to the next level. You know, I was a part of, I loved Super Bowl 30. And that was the first team I fell in love with. The 1994 team actually was. It lost in the AFC Championship game to the Chargers at Three River Stadium. But that Super Bowl 30 team, man, I was hooked. When they drafted Ben in 04, holy cow, hook, line, and sinker, I was all in. Push all those chips in, man. My wife got me a white replica Roethlisberger that I still have that has never been washed. And it was my first Ben jersey. I have 6 others now. I need to get that 7th. I need to get that block letters, the block number, the throwback from 2019. That's what I need to get because I have the color rush. I have the other throwback. I don't have a Bumblebee either, so I could technically make that 8. But still, it's tough for me to think about life after Ben or even hopefully if Ben goes down this year. Let's fingers crossed. 7 for 7. All right. Gyro say, do pigs have to fly for the Steelers to get to Jamal Adams? Yes. Yes, they do. Ron Chess, Jeff, thank you forever. Your idea worked. Brian had more than one wife. That's why it was. And he's referring to me helping with Coles. Yes. It worked. It does work. I should maybe start another podcast, you know? Jeffrey Benedict, contributor to the website. I appreciate this comment. He says, it's been a long road from those quote unquote Jeff is destroying BTSC posts we used to get. I got a lot of those. You did great work, Jeff. Glad to see you get a chance to take it further. I appreciate that. Man, my gosh, it is, there were times I would tell my wife when I took over the website, I'd say, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I can do, like, I don't know if I can actually do this job because I would read the comments and I would say, holy cow. Oh my gosh. Like these people hate me. I had writers just, when I got the job, they said, I'm out. I was like, what do you mean? What do you mean you're out? How do you don't even know I'm going to run this thing. Like I want everyone to stay and keep it the way it was. And so it was rough. It was rough. Thankfully, people like Jeffrey is staying on board. Cliff Harris is still a punk, is staying on board. Tony Defio has been there longer than I have, is staying on board and continuing to podcast. So kudos to those, please. Ezra brings up Stan Humphries. Ezra, come on, man. Having a good show. We're having a great show, I think. Bring up Stan Humphries. Come on. That's like saying Neil O'Donnell. Don't need to do that. Taylor says, Jefferson, how do you master Phillip Rivers' art of it? I do know. Phillip Rivers has 9. I have 5. I'm done. Took care of that. Okay, no more. He's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. Steeler fan 74. That is awesome, my friend. He said, thanks for concern on my condition. My last CT scan was good. Prayers up to you, my friend. Definitely awesome. Awesome news. That gives me chills. I'm glad. I'm glad to get to know you guys at this level. So awesome. Very awesome. Dave reminds me, everyone but Jeff is staying. Thank you, Dave. Appreciate that. All right, Grayson Brown, the hater. The hater's here. He says, best wishes and luck on your next level, Jeff. Bleed black and gold. Absolutely. Nothing's going to change that. Nothing's going to change that for sure. Here's a go. Dallas Quinley, I'm sorry, says, will Brooks replace Edmonds at strong safety? I don't think right away. There's no way. You can't do that. If you did that, I talked about the damning evidence of Jalen Samuels being replaced by a guy you picked up off the practice squad in 2019. How damning would it be that a rookie replaces a first-round pick? That would be bad. That would be bad. Someone asked, how can we apply to fill any potential vacant roles at Behind the Steel Curtain? Talk to Mr. Dave Schofield, editor of Behind the Steel Curtain. That's how you follow that. Jordan says, do you think the Hall of Fame game will still be played? And I think the answer is yes. The only way that will change, in my opinion, is if the Hall of Fame ceremonies get pushed back, delayed, or canceled, in which case the NFL will have to make a decision. But, the NFL, and I don't know if this was just happenstance or their infinite wisdom, these are two teams, the Cowboys and the Steelers, are going to play each other in 2020. It's very rare that you have a game against two teams are going to play each other in the regular season that is not in week 4. Now, the Steelers and Panthers have played. That's their traditional week 4 preseason game. But the one thing for me, when I think about this situation, is with the Steelers, it's not like that would be anything significant. You're not going to see Ben Roethlisberger suiting up in the Hall of Fame game against Dallas. So it wouldn't be a big deal. If they decide to cut it, no one's going to lose sleep. You might hear Mike Tomlin say, well, we want to play as much as we can. And I get it. As a coach, I get it. I really do. But at the same time, yeah. So we'll see. I think it's going to be played. Steelers flip. We'll just say flip. He says, am I going to keep my day job? Yes, I will be keeping my day job. As much as my day job will have me, I guess, in these weird circumstances. So there you go. Joshua Shields says, what are you going to miss most about Behind the Steel Curtain? It's a good question. It's a really good question. I'd like to break this into 2 parts. The first would be in the written word. It's where I really started, was writing for the website. There was nothing better than being able to sit down and write a commentary, whether it was a letter from the editor or something like that. And you just realize the reach of the website. There are times where articles will get picked up and referred, and you'll have sometimes 20,000 people read your article. And you think about it, oh my gosh. And you think about you're shaping potentially people's thoughts on the team. You write a bad article, not a bad as in poorly written. You write a bad about a player. I don't know what's going on. If I was just sitting there staring at you the last few minutes, I apologize. I'll pick up where I left off. I remember exactly what I was talking about the overall arch of the website. And that's something Dave experienced early on, is that, we've had players read our articles and comment via Twitter direct message to us. Heck, we had Bud Dupree want to fight one of our writers. That happened. It wasn't me, but one of my writers who no longer writes for the site. Yeah. So you'll miss the reach. I'm still going to be writing. I'm still going to have a reach. Someone asked, am I going to be able to watch games in the press box? It's a possibility. I'd have to drive to Pittsburgh. And it depends on how many credentials they get and what that looks like in 2020 and COVID-19 era, et cetera. But maybe I go to training camp and be behind the ropes. I don't know. That's a possibility now compared to what it was. In terms of podcasting, I just have enjoyed this. Sometimes people say, going on by yourself must be lousy. Sometimes this live chat is a godsend. It really is a godsend. You get to communicate with people. People get to ask you questions. People get to say, Jeff, you're an idiot. That's fine. It's not the first or the last time I'll be called an idiot. I'll miss a lot about Behind the Steel Curtain. Like I want people to understand that this decision for me was not easy. Like it wasn't easy. Not at all. So yeah, tough decision. Zach asks, who's the new deputy editor? There was an article on the website. I'll let Dave explain that tomorrow night. I'm not going to steal his thunder. Shaquille asks, are you quitting the YouTube thing? Yes. Have to quit the YouTube thing as a part of the job and make sure, Yeah, they're going to be fine, people. You'll be fine. You'll forget who I am in a week. Guarantee it. Felicia puts $10 in the tip jar. She said, I'm going to miss you. I don't like change. You better stalk us in the live chats. There's a chance that, especially if Brian's a host, I like to get in there and make him laugh and get him all distracted and his adult onset ADHD get going. It's hysterical. All right. Let's see here. What game in 2020 am I most excited for? That's a tough one. There's a part of me that's excited for Thanksgiving night against the Ravens at Heinz Field. But then there's a part of me that hates that. I hate having to stay up. You're all bloated and tryptophan filled and you're falling asleep. I'm really excited about that Cowboys game. I don't know what it is. That Cowboys game. I can't stand the Cowboys. Period. Oh, goodness. Here we go. Let's see here. Ron says he's going to follow me over there, DK Pittsburgh Sports. I appreciate that. Jared Evil says these 300 pull-ups tonight are in honor of Jeff's departure. Hey, anytime the faithful and the Steeler Nation wants to get fit and healthy, I'm all on board for that. Absolutely. A lot of people are saying that I think it might be StreamYard that is having issues tonight, but I'm back. Sorry about the mistake. I'm trying to get caught up. Oh, let's see here. What other questions do we have? Oh, Ezra says, well, Jeff, you can guest appear like Chris Carter. Yeah, I will come on shows. All Dave has to do is pick up his phone, send me a text message saying, hey, would you like to come on and talk about blah, blah, blah? And I'd say, yeah, sure. Yeah, I'll do it. As long as time permits, yeah, absolutely, I'll do it. They have my number. As Nightwolf says, they have my number. Let's see here. Felicia's going to that game, the Steelers and Cowboys. It's in Dallas. That'll be a good one. I think that's going to be a really good game. I can't stand the Cowboys. Nate says or Nathaniel, he says, I'm most excited for the Bills game. That's a Sunday night affair up in Buffalo. Absolutely would be a good one. Let's see here. Rod says, Jeff, if you get to ask the questions of the Steelers players, please ask some tougher questions than Tunch. If I ever get the chance, I'll try to ask as tough as possible. All right, here we go. That's here. Yes, people, I will be back once in a while. I'm not going to say it's every week or anything like that. But again, said it a million times. You all will be fine. Zach, this is a really good question from Zach. He says, is there a potential locker room cancer currently on the roster? I want to make sure I say something first. I don't think Le'Veon Bell was ever a locker room cancer. He made a business decision that impacted the players having to answer questions, but I don't think he was a locker room cancer. The locker room cancer was none other than Mr. Antonio Brown. We know that. If there's any player that's like that now, I can't think of one. Look at Deontay Johnson. He's just so young. You don't know. No one would have said that when Antonio Brown was in year 1, 2, or 3 of his rookie deal that he ever would have turned into what he became. It's tough to predict those things. And fame and fortune can impact a lot of people in a lot of different ways. So there you go. Felicia asks, is AB going to the Seahawks? Reportedly, the Seahawks want him. I don't know. Remember, wherever he decides to go, if a team does take a chance on him, he's probably going to find himself on the commissioner's exempt list until he goes through the judicial process with a lot of things that he has going on off the field. So even if the Seahawks do sign him, get him under contract, then period, you don't know how long he's going to be gone because you don't know how long that process is going to take. There you go. All right. Ezra, the locker room cancer is the injury bug. Yeah, that's true. That is true. Absolutely. Okay. Any other questions here before we call it a show? Didn't want it to be too long tonight when I'm by myself. Joe McLaughlin says Hines Ward would have set AB straight. I think a lot of people on those teams would have set Antonio Brown straight. It's about leadership. And a lot of people have said, and Troy Polamalu was one of them, that's what this team lacked. So Mark Davison said, will there be an asterisk for this year's Super Bowl champ? Unless the season is shortened, I don't see that being an issue. Would you put an asterisk next to a Super Bowl championship because there might not have been fans and seats? I don't know. Keystone says, are you more excited to see the Steelers offense or defense? I'm an offense guy, man. I like scoring points. I like touchdowns. I don't like field goals. And they did too much of the latter last year. I think the defense is going to be awesome. I'm excited if Ben Roethlisberger can stay healthy and come back and prove that he is Ben that we know, Big Ben. My gosh, this offense could be good. They could be really good. Okay. Felicia says, I read that the Bears may be talking about getting J.J. Watt. Why can't we have that option? We'd have no money. We'd have to trade. I don't know. I doubt they would ever let him go, to be honest with you. Joseph says, do you think Eric Ebron and Vance McDonald will be a good tight end duo? It depends on how often they run 2 tight end sets. They don't really do that too much in history, but that can change now they have 2 actual, since they have 2, actual viable options at tight end. Russ says, good luck, Jeff. We'll see you on DK with the Big Ragu. That's right. Ramon Foster is writing for DKPittsburghSports.com. It's pretty cool. Colleague of mine, former Steeler Ramon Foster. So that is pretty awesome. All right. We'll call it there. All right. 45 minutes in. I thought that was a good show. My last standard is the standard. So I want to finish this up quickly by just saying that, again, out of all the people to thank, the listeners are who I should thank the most. You all have been tremendous. You've been extremely supportive. This YouTube channel has turned into something that has brought more pleasure than pain every single time I've been on it. And I think that the Steelers fans that come to this channel, you guys are awesome. The Steelers Nation is alive and well. I see that every single time I log in. And for me, you all are the standard. And the standard, and you all set that standard very high in terms of intelligence, having good. It's great. Don't change. It would be awesome. I'll come back. I'll check in. Absolutely. Don't forget, tomorrow night, Steelers preview. It'll be fun. It'll be a fun one. Seriously, it will be a fun one. Make sure you check us out. Myself, Dave Schofield, and Brian Anthony Davis. Maybe Lance Williams will be stopping in as well. We'll see. And take care of each other. Be kind. And we'll see you next time. Take it easy.